Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to FCS 340 Money Management. My name is Brother Martin, and I am your instructor for the course. So I'm excited to be here with you, and it's going to be an awesome semester. So I look forward to spending some time with you. Each week I will post an instructor video called Instructor Notes, and the purpose of that video is twofold. First is to go through and just make sure you're familiar with what we're looking at for this next week. The second is to clarify any additional things. If the instructions I feel like are not entirely complete in a particular area, I'll let you know what it is that I'm looking for on an assignment to give you a better idea of what to expect as I grade them. So hopefully you'll find these videos to be helpful, and each week I would encourage you to read the notes for each assignment as well as watch the video to make sure that you have a very clear understanding of where we're at. So I'm going to take just a couple minutes, introduce myself. As I said, my name is Brother Martin. I live in Logan, Utah. I have 7 wonderful children and have been married for, oh boy, it's going to be 14 years. So 14 wonderful years to my wonderful wife, Corinna. So you can see my family here on the screen as well, minus our newest addition. Raylyn is about 3 months old, so we have to get a picture that's a little bit more up to date with that information in there. Personal management or money management has been my career. I got a bachelor's degree in family, consumer, and human sciences with an emphasis in personal finance, and then a master's degree in consumer sciences. So kind of the study of how and why people spend money and what it is they do with it. I've been working as a housing and financial counselor for the last 10 years in different capacity, including time working for Habitat for Humanity as their director, as a director of a housing and financial counseling clinic, and in my current role with the Bureau of Association of Governments, working over their VITA program as a supervisor of their HEAP program and over their housing and financial counseling. So it's something that I am passionate about, something that I love doing, and I find that wherever I go in the church or outside, that's what I end up doing is helping people to resolve debt issues, credit issues, and try to get to themselves to fulfill those goals and be where they want to be. So with that in mind, let's dive right in and take a look at the class and what we're doing here. So the first is just real quick to poke around and show you kind of the layout of the course if you're new to iLearn. I won't spend a lot of time on it because they have some introduction videos, but I want you to get a good feel for it. So I'm viewing the course as you are as a student, and once you go ahead and click on, you should have your different courses that are available from your home page. Click on FCS 340. And then the biggest thing is just diving right in. You can click on the content page and it'll be all of the lessons that are available here. So we can go through each and every one of those, and we'll kind of touch on that in just a little bit. I just want to highlight a few things. If you need to send or receive a message or get alerts on that, it's going to be right here at the top. Likewise, if there's announcements, you'll be able to see that here. In addition to the announcements, if you subscribed to a discussion group or to a forum or something, and you've put your alerts, they're going to show up on here. And this is our subscription alerts right there. So that's where your forums and things will show up when you've done that. Along this blue bar across the top is where you'll access most of the things that you need. The most important ones for sure, you've got your content here, which just brings up this section here. You can get to everything from it, as well as the calendar section, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So I want to show you there's a few different ways. The number one question that I usually get at the start of the course is how do I know when things are due? And there's a few things that we can see here. Along the side in the content tab, you can see when you have access to each week's material. Okay, so you'll know when that is, and then if you click on that particular week, you will be able to see when each item is due. So you can click here on week 1, and you can see here when these different items are due. As you click on them, it pulls up the material and notifies you. You can see the due dates on each of these. In addition to that, in the calendar section, I'll show you as we open that up, it lists all of them. So your due dates are bolded, and it's not super easy to see on here, but it is bolded. When you click on that given day, then you can see everything that is due. And when you hover over it, it'll give you a little pop-up that shows you what each one of these items are, so that you can see what it is exactly that you're trying to do. So for this first week, We have things due on Tuesday, things due on Thursday, and a couple items due on Saturday. So we'll go through how to make this work for you. All right, so let's dive right in and make it happen. So again, the easiest way is just to go to Content and then click on the particular week that you're wanting to start. If you do have questions, I want to point out that all my contact material is right here in this Overview tab. And so you've got the course title, you've got my email address, as well as a phone number. Now, I do want to offer a little bit of clarification on the phone number. It's fine if you need to call me and talk about something. I've been able to do that, and it's been very successful with some students. My preference is for you to post questions on the forum. So the reason for that is other students often have the same question. And so if you post it and we get it answered, everyone can see it. Barring that, if you can shoot me an email, we can certainly take care of that. If you feel like it's an emergency, please text. And if you have to call, recognize that I may be with a client or something at the time that you text or call, and not in a position where I can immediately respond. The policy for BYU of Idaho is for an instructor to respond to a student within 24 hours on a communication. So if you send me a text or an email, I should get back to you within the next 24 hours. When you think about that, that means if you try to reach me on a Saturday night right before something is due, it is highly unlikely and unreasonable to expect that I'll be able to get back to you right away. If I'm on, I will absolutely try to dive in and answer those questions, but you can't wait till the last minute and then expect me to be able to answer you right away. Same thing with late on a Friday or something. I try to take my wife out for dates. I hope you're all on date night on Friday night as well, but I'll try to get to those items early the next day. If there's going to be a time frame where I'm gone, I will let you know, and even then I'll try to arrange to where I can be available to answer questions and take care of things. So please, please, please read the assignments and ask questions early. The best time to do it is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that you have time to complete everything and make all the due dates as they come around. So just keep that in mind, and then we'll take a peek real fast. So a lot of this is just introduction material. When you click on this first section, then you can see the due dates here. So obviously it's due coming up shortly here on the 13th, and that's actually this Tuesday. So you don't have a lot of time in these first sections, but they're not hard to do. In addition, it usually shows you, I guess it doesn't show you here, but when you click on the items itself, it'll give you an idea of how long something will take. So as you go through and identify this page is not identifiable to students, sorry. You're actually looking at not the lesson notes. Right here, read me first. That's the one you're going to have. So when you pull this up, it's going to give you access to just a basic introduction to the course and encourage you to go through. You are going to need to read this. It gives you a good outline of the course as a whole, which is fantastic, so you know kind of how to regulate your time during the week to make sure you get everything done. And that can be really helpful for you as well. It also introduces the scriptures and things that we are using in the course as our main scripture here, Doctrine and Covenants 82:17. And so I'd encourage you to dive in and read that. Plus, you're going to use this to answer some of our questions later on in the quiz. So as you go through each one, you can see kind of a general assessment of how long each item will take. Let's just go back real quick here. All right, so the read me first. After you've taken care of that, you're going to be able to dive right in to each of the individual items. I always go in and look at the instructions and see that, for example, you're going to need to take a quiz on the syllabus to make sure that we're all on the same page as far as late work and where those things are at. There's a specific pattern to the class to try and make it as easy as possible for you to understand when things are due, and also kind of the ebb and flow of how the assignments work. So please read the syllabus and understand how that works. If you have questions, please post them as we had shown you before here. Questions and conversations. It's got this position where you can go ahead and ask any questions and things that you may have, and we'll dive in and get those answered for you. All right? Okay, so after you've read the syllabus and taken the quiz, then you're going to go ahead and look at some of our other assignments. So the Get to Know You section, you're going to go through and post a couple things about yourself and respond to other students. You need to look at the time on this and realize that this is to be completed by due date 1, so that's Tuesday. This needs to be done then. The other part to remember is in the syllabus, it goes into this a little bit more, but if you do the bare minimum on an assignment, this is college, and the bare minimum means that you get the minimum grade, and that is a C. So if you do just check on off the box and doing as little as you can to kind of get it done, then you will have a C grade. If you want an A in this class, and I hope you all do, that requires a little more effort. It requires some thought. So maybe if it asks a question, um, it may require more than a sentence that's 7 or 8 words long to answer that question. It's okay if it takes you a paragraph to answer a question or something. So just consider the point value of the assignment in regards to the amount of effort that you put into it, and recognize that um, we all want to be on the same page. And I want you to be pleased and understand why you get the grades that you do, because I want to give you an A, and the only way I can do that is if you work with me to make that happen. So take the time to go ahead and dive in there on the boards and get to know some of the other students, even though you only have to answer 2. Like I said, if you do the bare minimum, that's what you'll get. But just try to reach out and take the opportunity to make connections with those students as you get to know them. You'll have chances to work with them throughout the semester. So, all right, go ahead and do that. After you've done that, as it says here, you've got the little get to know section. This takes you straight to the forum where you can see those students who have already posted. Now, oftentimes in the class, you will not be able to see the forum until you make a post. So you'll have to post first, and then you'll be able to actually see what other students have posted and have the chance to respond to those. So you see here we've got that start section, and then after that we've got a know section. This is where we're trying to cover the material. And there's some significant differences. As you go through these, the read me first and the quiz, make sure you mark all of them off. Okay, and that's going to be a good way for you to keep track of it. It's also helpful for me to be able to see that you are actually reading the material and covering it. I can see which pages you visited, and I can see how long you've spent actually in those particular areas. So if it's a page with 5 pages worth of material and reading, and you're only on there for 13 seconds, we're going to have a pretty good idea about how much effort we put into reading and understanding that material. So just go through and make sure you understand what's there, and then mark each item off so that you can be sure that you've covered all the material that's required. So in the know section, it's kind of going to go through each one of these items, and as you notice, as you read through each little module, it'll tell you what the next step is here. So it's going to tell you that you're ready to move on to the next section, and you can do that after you've completed it. You would actually check the box off down here and let them know that you've read it and covered the material. If you can just use the little arrows here to go to the next one, or as we saw before, you can always use the tree at the top, or go back to the content and use the tabs on the side to make sure you've covered it. So you have a lot of different options to do that. We're going to hop back real quick to the know section here, so we can see all the different assignments, and as you complete them, you can either check them off in the assignment itself, as we saw, or out to the side here. So a lot of this material leads up to the quiz that you're going to have later on. So for example, when it gives this textbook orientation, and it goes through some of the material and tries to show you, how you recognize the different things in the back, see the case studies that are located there, and just trying to be familiar with what's going on in the book itself. And then it's going to move through, and I'll show you how you would use some of this real quick. So it showed you where the case study was at the beginning of each chapter, and then it asked you to consider, for example, a case study here. Now, you want to think about this because later on, during one of the quizzes, you're actually going to give your response to the information in this particular case study. So again, if you read it and your response is, well, she should save more money because she's going to be making more, that's great, but it doesn't show a lot of thought. And so if you want to explain a little bit why, how she can balance her savings against maybe paying off the debt early, or other things that may be coming up in her life. So we just take the time to tell me a little bit about the thought process that went behind it, and not just the bare bones on the decision itself. Right? So again, you can see each of the different items here as you move through. It does include some things like a note-taking template, so if you want to use that, some other items to make sure that you're clear about what you want to get out of the chapter and what you found was interesting, questions you may have that you can post on the forums. that we can dive in and answer or have other questions or other students answer as well. So a great opportunity for you to do that as well. And then, as you can see, we've got a few other places. Go straight to the questions and conversations if you had any. Make sure you understand the material that's referred to. And then, as it says, as you've done that, you're going to go on to these other items. Make sure, again, you check everything off and then move on through. And I'm not in future videos going to go through every little item like this. I'm just trying to show you kind of the flow of how this works. So notice here, it says after you've completed the information, you're ready to start the quiz. Now, let's go back actually just one, because in studying the chapter, it gives us some very specific instructions of what we need to be doing. So right here, it says after you've done this material up here, you're going to do a few different things. You're going to read through different items, and then you're going to tell me right here about what it is that you've been learning. So things that you learned from the study of the chapter, what you're going to do about it, so short-term and long-term actions that are going to help you. You're going to go through that foundation principles section, and that's really just that introduction that we touched on at the very beginning. This right here, and talk about how that's going to help and what it is you plan on doing with that material. And then make sure you can refer back to the discussion boards. Oh, that's the other one. Where's it at? There it is. All right, we'll get rid of the syllabus question stuff. Okay, right here. So, yes. And then you're going to look up that same case study that we just talked about and make sure you have an answer as to what it is that you would recommend that she do. I'm not worried as an instructor about whether or not I agree with you 100% on what you think she should or shouldn't do. What I'm interested in seeing is that you're actually taking the material from the chapter and applying it along with some of the things that perhaps you've learned on your own, and just giving an explanation of why it is that you're thinking. I do not grade based on whether or not I agree with you as an instructor. Okay, I grade on whether or not you understand the material, and I said the effort and thought that you put into it. I've had plenty of students where I totally disagreed maybe with the premise of the essay that they wrote, but they still received full points. And I may make comments and ask questions and do other things, but you don't have to agree with me to get a good grade. But you do have to show a reason and thought process behind what it is that you're doing. And obviously, if the chapter says something about a particular area and you go a completely different direction without any explanation, then that's going to impact your grade. So it is something to consider and think about. All right, it's also pointed out here that in the actual quiz, it doesn't give you a lot of space to view things and see what you're typing up. So type it up in a Word document first, and then just copy it and paste it in. Okay? All right. So after you've done this no section here, then you're going to move straight into the application, so the do section. There's a couple of different items here. We're going to be, in addition to using Garmin and Forg's personal finance, are going to have access to some of Dave Ramsey's material. How to get access to that was covered in the syllabus as well. So you're going to go ahead and make those initial attempts to get in and view the introduction videos, and then take the little quiz that's associated with that. And just make sure that you are familiar with how to access those now, so that when you get into some of the actual material in the coming weeks, that you can do that. And the last portion is the becomes. This is where you're actually trying to put some of the stuff into practice. And so part of it is you're going to have a simulation that you're going to run during the course of the semester, where you actually invest and buy and sell stocks. And so it provides a couple of different options for you to use. Now, I want to emphasize here that if one of these websites does go down, and I don't care which one that you use, but if one of them is not functioning and you can't do what it is you're supposed to be doing, it's your responsibility to switch. So if you let 2 or 3 weeks go by and then just tell me, well, I couldn't do it because the website wasn't working, that's not going to change the grade. You would not receive credit for that time period. So please be sure to stay on that and use the simulation tracker to show the buying and selling of your trades. To record your trades, and this right here is important, and your rationale. So just buying and selling things on a whim, it's probably not the greatest idea. They should be looking at things every day, at least 3 to 5 times a week. Now, that does not mean that's how I recommend investing. this is what we are doing for the purpose of the simulation, is wanting you to be aware of kind of how the market moves and changes and evolves and act accordingly. Okay, so this is not a reflection of my personal investment philosophy. This is for the assignment and what you need to do. And you can make sure that you've opened the account and you have your $1 million in there. I don't, like I said, I don't have a preference between the two programs as far as what you need to use. All right, and then after you've done that, we've got this begin your budget section. Now, I want to be clear that a budget is not the same thing as tracking. Tracking helps us to create a budget, but they are not actually the same. Tracking is writing down everything that you spend. I don't care if you do it electronically. Some people use a spreadsheet, some people use an app or something, but you need to know where every dollar goes so that you can make an accurate estimate. If you set a budget without tracking, for example, how much your food is going to be for the month, but you have no idea because you haven't been tracking it at all, and you say, oh, I think I spend $100, and you split all the money up in your budget and you only allocate $100, and you've been spending $250, that budget's not going to be very successful. And that's one of the big reasons that budgets fail, is because they're not set up on accurate information. So take the time to start tracking now so that as we transition into creating a budget in the coming weeks, that you can do that successfully by having a better estimate of how much you should be setting aside for each category in your budget itself. So take the time to get in there, and if you want to use an app or something, again, I don't have a preference actually at all in these. You can do that, but find some way to begin tracking so that you can prepare a successful budget. And that's it. Again, make sure you mark off tasks as you complete them. Make sure that you complete quizzes as they come through. And that last portion, this is the stuff that's due by this Saturday. In coming weeks, you will have other assignments that are completed in other ways. You may have some that are submitted directly through Dropbox that I grade directly that way. You have some that are actually graded directly through Dave Ramsey's website as you work with some of the different material there. And so depending on how the assignment is graded and dealt with, we'll try to address those each and every one. I do want to just comment briefly on my personal attitude and approach to personal finances. I'm really excited for each of you to be in this class. I genuinely believe that this is one of those courses where you have the opportunity to learn skills that you can utilize every single day as you approach not just money, but time, the way you work with people, and life as a whole. In Proverbs it says that where there is no vision, the people perish. And I believe that. You have to know where you want to go to be successful in getting there. So you've got to have that vision. But the next portion of that verse says, he that keepeth the law, happy is he. It's not enough just to have the vision. The vision keeps us from perishing, but the law is what's going to make us important, or make us happy, rather. And we have to decide what some of those rules are for us in our life, whether they're rules in how we deal with people socially, whether they're rules in how we manage our money, or whether the rules and what we would do and come across certain situations that might affect our spirituality. And when we make the conscious decision to identify what those are and make sure those rules are consistent with our vision of where we want to be, we can be successful. That's the way that the Lord is. He knows everything, and because he acts in a way that is consistent with what he believes, that is how he is, the way that he is. That's the way he wants us to be, and that's why he sends his Spirit to guide us and teach us, each and every one of us. I really look forward to the time we're going to spend this semester, and I encourage each of you to consider, think about what you really want out of this course and what you're willing to put into it to reach that vision. I think about each and every one of you, and I pray for you, and I look forward to getting to know you a little bit better as we work together to understand how to manage our personal finances.